What if you could get Bitcoin-level excitement with dividend checks? Sounds like a dream, right? MSTY, ULTY, and JEPI, 3 ETFs promising fat yields and wildly different bets. Some people see dollar signs, others see red flags. But either way, you can't ignore them. So let's dig in and see which one might actually pad your pockets or blow them up. Now, first things first, what are we even talking about here? Because let's be honest, if you just glance at these ticker symbols, they all look like some weird alphabet soup. MSTY, ULTY, JEPI, you'd be forgiven for thinking they're the names of new K-pop groups. But no, they're exchange-traded funds. And not just any ETFs, they're specialized income machines designed to lure investors with the promise of steady checks, big yields, and maybe even a chance at wealth building. Here's the twist though. They don't make that income in the old school way, like collecting dividends from Coca-Cola or clipping coupons from bonds. Nope. These guys are built around options. More specifically, covered call strategies. If that already sounds like Wall Street mumbo-jumbo, here's the plain English version. Imagine you own a stock. Then, instead of just sitting there hoping it goes up, you rent it out short-term by selling someone the right to buy it from you at a set price. They pay you rent for that privilege. That rent is called a premium. You pocket that premium no matter what happens. If the stock takes off like a rocket, well, you miss out on some of that upside because you already promised to sell it at a lower price. But if the stock just drifts sideways or goes up a little, you still keep the premium. Multiply that strategy across dozens or hundreds of positions, and boom, you've got yourself a high-yield ETF. Sounds clever, right? But clever doesn't always mean safe. Let's take these funds one at a time, because each one has a very different personality. Spoiler alert, one is an adrenaline junkie, one is a calculated daredevil, and one is the responsible adult of the group. MSTY is officially called the YieldMax MSTR Option Income Strategy ETF. Already sounds fancy, but what does it actually do? Well, it's handcuffed to MicroStrategy stock. Yes, the company run by Michael Saylor, who has basically turned his business into a Bitcoin vault. MicroStrategy isn't just a software company anymore, it's practically a giant Bitcoin ETF with a corporate logo on top. Here's where MSTY gets spicy. The fund doesn't just sit there holding MicroStrategy shares. It flips them into a covered call machine, constantly selling options on that single stock. Which means two things. 1. You, the investor, get exposure to one of the most volatile Bitcoin proxies on Wall Street. 2. You pocket those sweet option premiums as income. Sounds amazing, right? But hold up. Here's the trade-off. Your upside is chopped off. If Bitcoin moons and MicroStrategy stock rockets, you don't get to ride the full elevator to the penthouse. You get a partial ticket, capped by the options you sold. And on the flip side, if MicroStrategy falls off a cliff, and let's be real, it's done that more than once, you take the full fall. The premiums soften the blow, sure, but they won't save you from a 20%, 30%, or even 50% crash. In other words, MSTY is like strapping yourself into a roller coaster that pays you every time you scream. Fun until the tracks snap. Then you've got ULTY. This one's the Yield Max Ultra Option Income Strategy ETF. The name screams extreme, and honestly, it kind of is. But instead of betting everything on one company like MSTY does, ULTY spreads its wings a bit. It spreads its bets across multiple names, selling covered calls on a broader basket of stocks. That makes it feel safer than MSTY. A little less like walking a tightrope blindfolded over Niagara Falls, and a little more like bungee jumping with a backup cord. But don't kid yourself, it's still aggressive. The whole play is about squeezing juicy option premiums and turning them into chunky distributions. If you like the idea of wild income checks but don't want your fate tied to one Bitcoin-obsessed CEO, ULTY is your flavor. Still risky, but with training wheels. If you're still hungry for high yield but want to spread your risk a little, ULTY might be more your style. You'll still get chunky distributions, and you won't have your fate tied to just one company. Think of it as betting on the whole race instead of just one horse. Still risky, still aggressive, but a touch more forgiving. The trade-off is that you're paying more in fees, and the strategy is still volatile by nature. It's like playing poker with friends. You can lose, but the game isn't all or nothing, like throwing it all on red at a roulette table. And if you're someone looking for actual reliability, the kind of income you can plan around, JEPI is the one that fits. It won't blow you away, but it won't blow you up either. It's the kind of fund retirees love because it feels like a paycheck. You can actually sleep at night knowing JEPI will do its thing, churn out steady income, and avoid the chaos of chasing extreme highs. You won't get rich overnight, but you won't wake up broke overnight either. That trade-off appeals to a lot of people, which is why JEPI has billions under management and a loyal fan base. But now let's face the million-dollar question head-on. Which one will make you rich? Honestly, the answer is none of them. At least not in the way people imagine. If you're hoping MSTY is going to transform your portfolio into a millionaire's dream, you're betting on fireworks that could just as easily explode in your face. ULTY might give you strong gains if you time the market perfectly, but it's still built on a fragile foundation. And JEPI, while stable, is never going to skyrocket you into sudden wealth. It's built to be a steady paycheck, not a lottery ticket. That's the uncomfortable truth. These funds are tools, not miracle machines. They're like cars. MSTY is the sports car with a nitrous boost. Fun, dangerous, and not at all practical for daily use. ULTY is the turbocharged sedan, fast, flexible, but heavy on gas and maintenance. JEPI is a minivan, safe, reliable, and designed to get you where you need to go without drama. Which one's right for you depends entirely on your road ahead. If you're chasing thrills, MSTY might scratch that itch. If you want excitement but with a little more safety net, ULTY might be the one. If you're thinking long-term income you can depend on, JEPI is your steady ride. Another way to think about it, MSTY is like sitting at the high roller table in Vegas. You could walk out rich, or you could be begging for cab fare home. ULTY is more like a risky poker game. You might have a good night, you might not, but at least you're not putting it all on one spin of the wheel. And JEPI is like a boring savings account with a bonus. Nobody brags about it, but it gets the job done. The truth is, most investors don't need miracle machines. They need tools that fit their actual goals. That's where these funds need to be seen for what they are. MSTY is a thrill ride. ULTY is a middle ground. JEPI is a stable paycheck. None of them are a one-way ticket to riches. They can all play a role, but only if you know exactly what role you need them to fill. If you treat them like lottery tickets, you'll be disappointed. If you treat them like tools in a toolbox, you might actually come out ahead. And that's really the takeaway. Don't chase the shiny yield numbers like they're golden tickets. Ask yourself instead, what am I actually trying to achieve? Do I want thrills? Do I want balanced aggression? Do I want stable income? Your answer tells you which ETF belongs in your portfolio, if any of them do. So now the question is back on you. Which one would you pick? Would you strap yourself into MSTY's roller coaster? Would you settle into ULTY's wild but slightly safer ride? Or would you choose JEPI's steady paycheck path? Drop your answer below. I'm genuinely curious how you'd play it. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. Because these three may not make you rich on their own, but knowing how they work might just save you from losing a fortune chasing the wrong dream.